This is VOA Africa. Hello, I'm Africa 54 Managing Editor Vincent Makori in for #. It's Wednesday, December the 16th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees, so our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We are working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. We begin our broadcast with the latest political developments out of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the head of state, Felix Tshisekedi, says he has widespread support to end an uneasy power-sharing coalition with his predecessor and longtime rival, Joseph Kabila. Soraya Ali has the latest.
Congo President Felix Tshisekedi believes he has enough cross-party support to push through his plans for a new government, realigning the political landscape by ending an awkward coalition with his predecessor, Joseph Kabila. Tshisekedi was long an opponent of Kabila, who ruled DRC for nearly 2 decades. But after a disputed election in 2018, the pair forged an uneasy alliance, with Kabila's allies maintaining a parliamentary majority and controlling the cabinet. Now, Tshisekedi is moving to end the power-sharing coalition that he has complained is frustrating his agenda, and in a State of the Nation address on Monday, said most lawmakers back his plans.
Unfortunately, the reality is that despite the best efforts I have made, the sacrifices that I have made, and the humiliations that I have tolerated, that was not enough to make this coalition work harmoniously.
The political shift prompted violent clashes between the rival camps at Parliament last week. But on Thursday, lawmakers voted to oust a Kabila-appointed speaker, signalling a potential realignment that might allow Tshisekedi to nominate a more loyal cabinet. Political analysts say the speaker's unpopularity helped the president triumph by a margin of 81 votes in the 500-member lower house. And it is unclear whether backing from his new political bloc, known as the Sacred Union, will translate into enough support in other crucial votes, such as the appointment of a new speaker and a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister.
That was Soraya Ali of Reuters reporting. The U.S. State Department is condemning in the strongest terms the abduction of more than 300 schoolboys from the northern Nigeria and is investigating Boko Haram's claim of responsibility. A man identifying himself as Abubakar Shekau, the leader of Nigeria's Boko Haram, whose name means Western education is forbidden in the local Hausa language, says the Islamist group is behind Friday's kidnapping at a secondary school in Katsina state. Analysts say the claims in the audio tape, if true, could mark a widening influence of jihadist groups operating in northern Nigeria. It could also signal that jihadists are forming alliances with militant groups operating in the Sahel, which could further destabilize the impoverished area of Nigeria. When war erupted in Ethiopia's Tigray region last month, thousands of families fled for their lives, including expecting mothers and newborn babies. As officials try to move families from the main border camp to more permanent settlement, new mothers say they fear it's too soon and too dangerous to move their frail infants again. VOA's Heather Murdoch had this report from the Hamdiyet camp in Sudan near the border with Ethiopia.
Tens of thousands of people have passed through this camp in the past month, searching for a place to wait out the war in safety. Many ran off from Ethiopia's Tigray region with nothing but the clothes on their back. Others carried a greater burden. Tisia Nadusi is just 25 days old. She was born here after her mother fled bombings in her hometown and spent 3 days hiking to Sudan.
I left my home pregnant and escaped gunshots and explosions. The terrain was difficult and littered with human feces and urine. We spent 3 days traveling in the desert. There were snakes.
Pitwi's baby appears to be sick, but she says she doesn't have any way to find out what is wrong. Other mothers say their infants are traumatized. This child, Selamowit, was just 4 months old when her mother fled Ethiopia a month ago.
My baby had nightmares when we got here. Now she throws up all the time, and we don't have good food for her.
Officials are trying to convince families here to move to another camp, further from the border. Some families say they don't want to go because they are hoping their missing relatives will turn up here in this camp. Parents of newborns say they think the long journey, an estimated 10 hours by bus on rough roads, could be dangerous for their children. These twins were born prematurely in Ethiopia, just before the fighting began and the hospital staff fled. The parents took the babies and fled a few days later. Nowadays, their mother cannot produce milk, and their father can only afford to buy cheap, powdered milk, not enough nutrition even for healthy babies.
The current situation is that my daughters are in danger, and we are very tired. How could we just make them alive?
Naranjo says he may have no choice but to move his babies by bus because humanitarian aid is dwindling as aid organizations move services to the other main camp. Families here say they want to return home when it is safe. But with the Tigray region still largely cut off from mobile and internet service, the only thing known for sure is that loved ones are missing amid reports of continued violence, hunger, and crushing fear. Heather Murdoch, VOA News, Hamdayet Camp, Sudan.
Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has announced plans to build national cohesion, but his rivals say his disputed third term is illegal. Angela Ukomado reports.
In front of an audience of dignitaries, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara pledged to respect and defend the Constitution on Monday as he was sworn in for a third term. His critics may consider that to be grimly ironic. They accused Ouattara of violating the Constitution by running again, resulting in an election at the end of October that was largely boycotted by the opposition and marred by violence. That dispute resurfaced memories from a decade ago when a post-election civil war killed thousands. At his inauguration, Ouattara outlined plans to try and unite a divided nation.
In order to further consolidate national cohesion, I plan to create a ministry in charge of national reconciliation in the next few days.
He said he had also instructed his prime minister to initiate discussions with his opponents, some of whom set up a rival government after the election. Ouattara says a 2016 constitutional referendum resets the clock on his presidency, allowing him to run again.
Reuters' Angela Okumado with that report. Former Kenyan street criminal Torres Omol managed to turn his life around and start a charity helping people where he grew up, in the slums of Nairobi. COVID-19 is hitting these communities hard with unemployment, making day-to-day life a struggle. To prevent children from turning to street crime, as he once did, Omol regularly hands out food aid to help them get by. Ruud Elmendorp has more from Nairobi.
Torres Omol often visits Nairobi's Dandora dumping site to talk to street children who survive by recycling garbage. The hardship of life on the streets and facing predators and abuse pushes many of them to drugs and crime. Omol knows his life well, as he was doing the same at the age of 16, after his parents died.
We used to snatch bags and also get some clothes. When you wash your clothes and we put them somewhere, we want to look smart, but we don't want to buy clothes. So we will tame you and get your clothes.
Omol says he left the dumping site after police caught his friend and beat him severely. Through the help of his aunt, he went back to school and finished college. But he couldn't forget the street children left behind. So he started gathering donations of clothes, and his charity kept growing.
Right now, we have supported over 30,000 people. And we have over 5,000 donors who we don't know. They only bring their clothes oftenly.
With COVID-19 worsening the economic squeeze in Nairobi's slums, Omo expanded to distributing food and sanitary pads. Carol Obonyo says Omo helped her 11-year-old son Bernard to get off the street.
I was taught and advised how my child can stop going to the dump site to scavenge, because life at the dump site is not so good at all for children.
Even before the pandemic, the United Nations Environment Programme says 3,000 families were living off recycling from the Dandora dumping site. Former garbage recycler Omo is doing his part to get children off the streets and prevent the suffering, abuse and crime that he lived through. Ruud Albendorp for VOA News, Nairobi.
Africa is preparing for its largest COVID immunization drive ever, and health officials say expect it to start by the middle of 2021. But are African nations ready for the rollout? The airline industry is set to play a vital role in distributing the vaccine to every corner of the continent. VOA's AD Adams Fitzpatrick has more.
How many airplanes will be needed to deliver COVID-19 vaccines around the world? The International Aviation Transport Association estimates around 8,000 jumbo jets. It says the industry faces the mission of the century. Transporting and storing various vaccines at the right temperature could be particularly challenging. Airlines in the US have already begun trial flights to test their readiness. European carriers are gearing up for test runs with dummy vaccine samples. Ethiopian Airlines says its fleet is ready to deliver vaccines across Africa and the world. Earlier, I spoke to the airline Solomon Begashaw. I asked him how Ethiopian Airlines will meet that challenge in the air and on the ground.
We have a dedicated pharma team who have specialized and trained on the IATA TCR, the temperature control regulation, and also the IATA QMS, the quality and audits for the maintaining of the cold chain. And we have trained capabilities, staffs who are working around the clock to ensure that this is a reality to achieve. In addition to that, meant for this peculiar purpose, the airline has also set a task force peculiarly in handling this COVID vaccine environments, constitute from all the different departments or stakeholders we believe that will be involved in the distribution of the COVID vaccines. So in terms of preparedness for the COVID-19 vaccine distribution, I'm quite sure that we are ready in this regards.
Mr. Begashaw, do you expect you're going to see a lot of competition in the race to deliver vaccines across the continent when the time comes?
Of course, we are the largest operator in Africa in terms of destinations and in terms of volume of operations. Our networks, for this peculiar purpose, we are ready to be positioned to anywhere. We have not limited ourselves to Africa. We will be flying global to the world, as we have done for the COVID-19 PPE distribution. For the same vaccine distribution, we will be flying all over the world to ensure that we participate on the distribution of the vaccine.
We are excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, the fight against rising cybercrime in Africa. We'll be right back.
Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America headquarters here in Washington. I am Shaka Sali. Straight Talk Africa, we call it like it is. We discuss issues that reflect the interests of our audience without fear or favor. We are guided by facts, and I look at myself as a servant of nothing but the truth.
is about more than just sitting here and talking about women's issues. It's about listening to them
and bringing their opinions to the table and making sure their voices are heard.
Because our lived experiences, our stories, and our voices will help shape the next generation.
After weeks of silence, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Tuesday congratulated President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris following Monday's formal vote by the Electoral College that cemented Biden's victory in the November 3rd election. Yet, there is still no sign President Donald Trump is willing to accept defeat. White House correspondent Patsy Widakuswara reports.
Still no sign of concession from the White House as Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany spoke to reporters Tuesday.
The president is still involved in ongoing litigation related to the election.
But earlier Tuesday, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, broke his long silence and congratulated President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris on their victory.
Our system of government has processes to determine who will be sworn in on January the 20th. The Electoral College has spoken.
On Monday, members of the Electoral College formally cemented Biden's victory with 306 electoral votes. Still, Trump continues to deny he lost,
because this election was a fraud,
earning a sharp rebuke from Biden, who on Monday night accused Trump of an unprecedented assault on democracy.
It's a position so extreme, we've never seen it before. A position that refused to respect the will of the people, refused to respect the rule of law, and refused to honor our Constitution.
Trump continues to promote baseless claims of voter fraud, claims that his supporters believe. They rallied in the nation's capital over the weekend.
This is not a banana republic. We need to fix the election.
A group of Republican House members say they will use Congress's tallying of the election results on January 6th to declare Trump the winner, a largely symbolic move.
It's less of a last-ditch attempt to actually turn the election around as it is just another opportunity for another performance wherein members of the Republican Party can demonstrate their, fidelity to and commitment to Trump and Trumpism.
Trump and his allies have filed 60 lawsuits. All have failed to provide evidence of widespread fraud.
Every single state official responsible for elections, as far as even Attorney General William Barr, a close Trump ally, is concerned, there simply is no fraud.
Attorney General Barr, who has fallen out of favor with Trump after acknowledging the Justice Department he led found no widespread voter fraud, announced his resignation on Monday. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
Pressure is growing on the European Union to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine after regulators in Britain, the United States and Canada gave the green light in recent days. Coronavirus cases are soaring across the continent with extended lockdowns announced in Germany and the Netherlands. Henry Ridgewell has the latest.
Britain called it V-Day, or Vaccination Day, December 8th, the start of its mass coronavirus vaccination programme. The rollout began in major hospitals and is now being expanded to local clinics. About 800,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine are being distributed, with several million due before the end of December.
Less than a year ago, we're treating the first patient with COVID, and we are now able to give a vaccine. The team has been incredible.
People over 80, the clinically vulnerable, and frontline health and nursing home staff are first in line. Doctors say by inoculating these vulnerable groups first, the pressure on hospital intensive care units will ease. So how did Britain gain the head start? British regulators insist full safety checks were carried out.
So there should be no doubt whatever that this is a very safe and highly effective vaccine. It will help us turn the corner.
But in polls, half the British public have safety concerns over the vaccine. The World Health Organization says it is vital that governments communicate clearly.
And the more open and transparent we can be, the more likely it is that people will have the trust and the confidence and would not only want to take the vaccine, but would also be patient and wait for their turn.
With Britain, the United States and Canada having now approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, pressure is growing on the European Union to do the same. Approval is expected by the end of December.
We want to do this in a very coordinated fashion and show that everyone has the same kind of access.
But that access will not be available to billions of people around the world. Aid agencies accuse rich countries of hoarding the vaccine.
9 out of 10 people in poor countries are not going to receive a vaccine next year and possibly for years to come.
Scientists say the world will not get back to normal until there is a global rollout of vaccinations.
Somewhere between 70 and 80% of the population worldwide will need now to be vaccinated.
That would require billions of doses of vaccine and is likely to take many months or years. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
Cyber threats are on the rise in Africa. Millions of people are susceptible to a range of online criminal activities, including financial fraud, drugs, human trafficking, and terrorism. Analysts say the fight against cybercrime requires a cohesive and coordinated approach because the potential for internet abuse in Africa is very high. Africa 54 technology correspondent Paul Dio spoke to Mojisola Alabi, Director of Programs and Partnerships at the Center for Cyber Awareness and Development.
Mojisola Alabi, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for having me.
You run a Center for Cybercrime in Nigeria. You teach people how to avoid being on the internet, doing the wrong things on the internet. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about what you do?
We are Center for Cyber Awareness and Development, and basically our mission is enlightenment of the positive use of the internet and also cyber responsibility, because internet technology has created a cyberspace which has brought different population, ethnicity, races together to do businesses easily, to interact easily. But in the process of doing this, it has also exposed some aspect of our socio-economic transaction, thereby making the attackers, those that get involved in cybercrime, cyber fraud, to have more access to people's information out there. So we are basically into the promotion of the positive use of the internet.
How big is cybercrime in Nigeria or in Lagos where you are?
Right now, I will say with this advent of COVID-19 pandemic, this has had quite a large number of effect on businesses and most especially individuals, because quite a number of people lost their jobs, not because they don't want to work again, but because businesses are not functioning and they could not afford to actually pay some of their employees, or rather most employees. So this has made a lot of people to go more online and also expose them to the susceptibility of being attacked online, because you tend to put more of your information online. You tend to go online for your meetings. You tend to send more emails rather than usual. So I would say Nigeria has not been on the safe side.
What types of people come to you for these kinds of trainings?
We offer different trainings, seminars, and of course events in order to push this ideology of being responsible. For young adults, we've put together an event called Safer Internet Day by joining the world in celebrating and in the promotion and, of course, enlightenment of child online safety. Because with this event, we are able to go to different schools, universities, primary schools, secondary schools, meet with the teachers, offer different seminars, short courses during this event. And also for women, we have a Nigerian Women Digital Agenda Summit and Award, where we encourage the positive use of the internet and also educating them as well while operating their businesses, how their businesses can be exposed to cyber attacks and the steps they need to take.
What makes cyber crime very attractive to young Nigerians?
The attackers right now, they are applying to people's emotion. Especially phishing is the most used style of attacking individuals and even businesses, because businesses are also going more into the cloud right now and trying to reduce their cost of business process. More companies don't have a choice but need to make use of it now. But the downside of it is capacity. A lot of them they don't understand the technologies, but they just want to satisfy their customers. So not understanding the technologies and not having the capacity for it has made them susceptible to attacks. So they will not know, they will just see a mail, oh, okay, this is good. They click on it. And once you click on it, it goes into your system, they can have access to it. So also individuals, a lot of them, the SMEs are just looking for different ways for their small SMEs to survive this period because of low in sales or low in human contact. You can't visit shops to buy things physically, so you tend to go to online, trying to get a logistics company to take your goods to your customers and all that. So I think that is what made Nigerians to fall prey more.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
That was Africa 54 Tech correspondent Paul Dio speaking to Mojisola Alabi at the Center for Cyber Awareness and Development in Lagos, Nigeria. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.